Some places are just born bad. In Atchison, Kansas, a small house at 508 North 2nd Street holds a reputation that stretches far beyond its simple wooden frame. This is the Sally House. To locals, it's a place of whispered legends and dark warnings. To the paranormal world, it's become synonymous with violent, demonic activity. The Sally House isn't just haunted, it's a living, breathing vessel of darkness. Stories of strange occurrences, oppressive energy, and feelings of being watched have circulated for decades. The legend is built on fear, pain, and unexplained violence. It challenges our understanding of the afterlife, forcing us to confront that not everything from the other side is friendly. The house draws you in with promises of answers, but only delivers more terror. It's infamous for the consistency and intensity of its phenomena: physical attacks, intelligent responses, and deep psychological tolls. This isn't about flickering lights, it's about being physically assaulted by an unseen force. The Sally House is a cautionary tale about the darkness that can attach itself to a place, and the people who call it home. In 1992, Tony and Deborah Pickman were expecting their first child, and saw the house on 2nd Street as the perfect place to start their family. They had no idea they were walking into a nightmare. From the moment they moved in, the house made its presence known. Lights flickered, the air in the nursery felt unnaturally cold, and objects moved on their own. Their dog barked at empty corners and refused to enter certain areas. The couple tried to rationalize the events, blaming stress and imagination, but the activity grew persistent: disembodied footsteps, TVs turning on at full volume, and a constant feeling of being watched. The nursery became the epicenter: toys thrown, the rocking chair moving, and a chilling cold that never left. It was as if the entity was focused on the baby, on the new life they were bringing in. Joy and anticipation turned to fear. They realized they were not alone, and whatever was there was not happy they had arrived. The house was studying them, waiting. The haunting escalated when the entity revealed a face. One evening, Tony saw the apparition of a young girl in old-fashioned clothing, her vacant stare burning into his memory. They called her Sally, a name that would become infamous. Deborah saw shadowy figures and fleeting glimpses of a child, but never the full apparition. For a while they tried to coexist, thinking Sally was a lost, lonely child. But their attempts at communication were met with silence, and then, an escalation in activity. The entity's tricks became more deliberate. Pictures turned upside down, items vanished and reappeared, and the focus on Tony intensified. The image of the little girl was a clever deception, preying on their sympathies. Darker entities often mask themselves as children to gain trust. The Pickmans fell for the trick, believing they were helping a lost soul. They would soon learn the spirit of the little girl was just a mask for something far older and more dangerous. The Sally House was not haunted by a child. It was something far more sinister. The haunting crossed a line from psychological torment to physical violence. Tony began to suffer burning, stinging scratches, often in sets of 3, a number linked to demonic mockery. The attacks became frequent and severe. He was pushed, grabbed, and scratched by unseen hands. One attack was caught in real time, a bloody scratch forming on his stomach as if by invisible claws. The fear in the house became overwhelming. Deborah feared for her husband and unborn child. The entity seemed to feed off their terror, growing stronger with every scream. The violence was targeted. Tony was the focus. Deborah witnessed the chaos but was rarely touched. The message was clear: you are not welcome here. The Sally House was no longer just haunted. It was actively hostile. The dream of a happy home had become a living nightmare. Desperate, the Pickmans reached out to paranormal investigators and psychics. The house responded with a surge in activity. Equipment malfunctioned, batteries drained, and cameras shut off at crucial moments. Despite this, investigators captured chilling evidence: EVPs whispering "get out" and the name Sally repeated. Physical attacks now targeted the investigators: scratches, shoves, and even objects hurled across rooms. Psychics sensed something darker than a child's spirit. An ancient, malevolent force using Sally as a mask. The evidence pointed to a demonic entity manipulating the child's memory. The investigation was no longer about a ghost but a search for answers about a possible demonic infestation. The Sally house had become a proving ground for the paranormal, and the entity was always ready to put on a show. Investigators dug into the house's history, searching for the real Sally. Records revealed a doctor once lived there, and a young girl named Sally allegedly died during an emergency surgery in the house. For a time, this tragic story explained the haunting, but the violence and malevolence didn't fit a child's spirit. Mediums proposed a darker theory. A demonic force was using Sally's memory as a mask. Demonic entities are masters of mimicry, feeding on fear and chaos. The scratches, targeted attacks, and oppressive dread were classic signs. The true horror of the Sally house wasn't a ghost girl, but an ancient evil wearing her face. The legend grew, fueled by deception and darkness. The house's secret was far more terrifying than anyone imagined. The Pickman's ordeal escalated. Tony suffered episodes of possession, his demeanor and voice changing with no memory afterward. The entity seemed to be trying to take control, using him as a vessel. The final straw came when a fire erupted in the nursery with no cause. The message was clear: their lives were in danger. The psychological pressure was unbearable. Deborah feared for her family's safety. The decision to leave was made out of desperation. They packed quickly, feeling the house's oppressive energy watching them. Leaving wasn't just moving, it was escaping. As they drove away, the house fell eerily silent, as if it knew it had won. The entity had broken them down, physically and emotionally. The Sally house was left waiting for its next victim, but the Pickmans would soon learn, the house wasn't finished with them. For most haunted house stories, the terror ends when the family moves out. But the Sally house haunting was different. The entity had latched onto Tony, following the family to their new home. The same phenomena returned: moving objects, disembodied voices, and the familiar feeling of being watched. Tony continued to receive unexplained scratches. This was no ordinary haunting. It was a rare, disturbing attachment. The psychological torment continued, a shadow they couldn't outrun. Over time, the activity faded, but the scars, physical and emotional, remained. The Pickman story is a chilling warning. Sometimes the darkness follows you home. Today, the Sally house still stands, its dark reputation undiminished. It's a magnet for investigators and thrill seekers, and the activity hasn't stopped. Visitors report scratches, shoves, and overwhelming dread. The evidence is overwhelming: EVPs, apparitions, and physical assaults. The true nature of the entity remains a mystery: vengeful child or ancient evil. The house is a puzzle box of paranormal phenomena, daring you to question what you believe. The doors are open, but the price of admission may be more than you're willing to pay. Would you spend a night inside the Sally house, locked down with the darkness that lives there?